LibreOffice has long been known as one of the most powerful free and open source office suites available, offering strong alternatives to many proprietary tools. With the release of LibreOffice 26.2, users gained new improvements, performance upgrades, and better compatibility with files from other platforms. However, one area that continues to challenge many users is working with project management files, originally created in Microsoft Project. If you have ever tried opening a Microsoft Project file inside LibreOffice and noticed formatting problems, missing tasks, broken dependencies, or strange scheduling errors, you are not alone. In this video, we're going to walk step by step through how to fix compatibility issues in LibreOffice 26.2 and make sure Microsoft Project files behave as accurately as possible. By the end of this guide, you'll know exactly how to configure your system, prepare project files, and avoid the most common compatibility problems. Let's start by understanding why compatibility issues exist in the first place. Microsoft Project uses proprietary formats such as MPP that are not fully open or publicly documented. LibreOffice, being an open source platform, cannot perfectly replicate every internal structure used by Microsoft Project. Instead, it relies on converters and standardized formats such as XML. When LibreOffice imports a project file, it essentially translates the data from Microsoft Project's format into something it can understand. During that translation process, certain elements like advanced dependencies, custo fields, or resource leveling rules may not convert exactly the same way. That's why users sometimes see timeline shifts, missing milestones, or altered resource assignments after importing a project file before fixing compatibility. The first thing you should do is verify that you're actually using LibreOffice 26.2 or later. Many earlier compatibility bugs were fixed in recent versions. Open LibreOffice, go to the Help menu, and click About LibreOffice to check your version. If your installation is outdated, visit the official website of the Document Foundation, the organization that maintains LibreOffice, and download the latest stable release. Installing updates is important because each new version improves support for external file formats, including project planning data. Once your installation is confirmed, the next step is preparing your Microsoft Project files properly before importing them. If you have access to Microsoft Project itself, the best practice is to export the project into an XML format. XML is a structured and open format that preserves most project information, including tasks, dependencies, resources, and calendars. Inside Microsoft Project, you can choose Save As and select the XML project format. This exported file is far more likely to open correctly in LibreOffice compared to the native MPP format. By converting to XML first, you're essentially using a neutral bridge format that both applications understand more clearly. Now let's move over to LibreOffice and begin the import process. Launch LibreOffice and open the project file using the appropriate component or compatible extension that handles project data. Some users install additional project management extensions within LibreOffice to improve handling of project structures. These extensions provide enhanced timeline visualization and better mapping of imported project tasks. When opening the XML project file, pay close attention to the Import Settings dialog if it appears. LibreOffice may ask how to interpret certain project attributes like task duration units or calendar definitions. Choosing the correct settings during this stage is critical for preserving accurate scheduling. After importing the project file, the first thing you should check is the task hierarchy. In Microsoft Project, tasks can be nested into summary tasks and subtasks, forming a work breakdown structure. During conversion, indentation levels sometimes shift, especially if the original file used custom outline numbering. Carefully review the project structure and verify that subtasks appear under the correct summary tasks. If anything looks misaligned, you can manually adjust indentation levels within LibreOffice to restore the intended hierarchy. Next, examine task durations and start dates. Scheduling is one of the most sensitive aspects of project compatibility. Microsoft Project allows very specific duration units such as minutes, hours, days, and even percentages of working time. When LibreOffice imports these durations, it must convert them into its own internal scheduling system. Occasionally, this causes slight discrepancies in task start or finish dates. Compare the timeline against the original project plan and confirm that each major milestone appears at the correct time. If you notice date shifts, review the project calendar settings because mismatched calendars are one of the most common causes of scheduling errors. Calendars control which days are considered working days, weekends, or holidays. Microsoft Project allows multiple custom calendars, including resource-specific calendars. If LibreOffice imports the project but uses a different default calendar configuration, tasks may appear to start earlier or later than expected. Open the calendar settings inside LibreOffice and ensure that working days match the original project configuration. If necessary, recreate custom calendars to reflect holidays or specific work schedules used in the original project plan. Another critical area to verify is task dependencies. Dependencies define how tasks relate to one another. Sucks, finish to start, or start to start relationships. Microsoft Project supports several dependency types along with lag or lead times. When importing into LibreOffice, these relationships are usually preserved, but occasionally lag values or dependency types can change. Scroll through the task list and inspect the dependency columns. Make sure tasks that should wait for previous tasks still have correct predecessor relationships. Fixing dependencies early prevents cascading schedule errors later in the project timeline. Resource assignments are another important part of project compatibility. In Microsoft Project, resources can represent people, equipment, or materials, each with availability limits and cost rates. LibreOffice attempts to map these resources during import, but complex resource leveling rules might not translate perfectly. Open the Resource Management panel and confirm that each resource appears with the correct name and assignment. If a task originally had multiple resources assigned, check that they still appear correctly attached to the task. Adjust workloads if necessary to maintain realistic project scheduling. Costs and budgeting fields can also behave differently between Microsoft Project and Microsoft Project uses detailed cost tracking systems, including fixed costs, hourly rates, and cost accrual methods. During conversion, some of these fields may appear as custom fields or may not map directly. If cost tracking is important for your project, compare the imported data with the original project plan. Re-enter any missing cost values to ensure accurate budget calculations. Now let's talk about formatting and visualization. Microsoft Project provides several views such as Gantt charts, task sheets, and resource graphs. LibreOffice may display similar views but with different formatting rules. After importing the project, spend time adjusting the visual layout so that it clearly represents the project structure. Resize columns, adjust timeline zoom levels, and configure the Gantt chart display so dependencies and milestones are easy to read. While this doesn't directly affect compatibility, it helps ensure that the project remains understandable for anyone reviewing it. Another compatibility improvement involves using standardized project management data fields whenever possible. Microsoft Project allows extensive customization, including custom fields, formulas, and macros. These advanced features often do not translate well into LibreOffice because they rely on proprietary scripting environments. If you are planning to move projects between platforms regularly, try to avoid heavy customization in Microsoft Project files. Instead, rely on standard fields like task name, duration, start date, finish date, and resource names. The simpler the structure, the easier it is for LibreOffice to interpret the data correctly. File encoding and character sets can also impact compatibility, especially when project files include non-English characters or special symbols. LibreOffice handles Unicode very well, but certain legacy encodings may cause text corruption during import. If you notice strange characters appearing in task names or resource descriptions, re-export the project file from Microsoft Project using UTF-8 encoding or a modern XML format. This ensures that all characters are preserved correctly during the import process. Another useful technique is performing incremental validation. Instead of importing a massive project with hundreds of tasks all at once, start with a smaller test file. Export a portion of your project from Microsoft Project and open it and verify that everything appears correctly before moving on to larger files. This approach helps you identify compatibility problems early and refine your workflow before handling full-scale projects. Sometimes compatibility issues are not caused by LibreOffice itself, but by corrupted or inconsistent data inside the original project file. Microsoft Project files that have been edited by multiple users over long periods can accumulate hidden errors. If LibreOffice struggles to import a project correctly, try opening the file in Microsoft Project and running built-in repair or validation tools. After repairing the file, export it again as XML and re-import it into LibreOffice. For users who regularly exchange project files between teams, establishing a standardized workflow is extremely helpful. Decide on a single exchange format, such as XML, and make sure all team members export projects using the same settings. Consistent formatting greatly reduces compatibility surprises when opening files in LibreOffice. Documenting this workflow ensures that everyone follows the same process, whether they are using Microsoft Project or LibreOffice for their project management tasks. Performance can also influence compatibility perception. Large project files with thousands of tasks may open slowly or appear to behave incorrectly simply because the system is struggling to process the data. Ensure your computer meets recommended system requirements for LibreOffice and close unnecessary applications while working with large project plans. Increasing available memory and ensuring sufficient disk space can improve performance significantly. Another advanced technique for improving compatibility is using intermediary project management tools that support both formats. Some project management software can import Microsoft Project files and export them into standardized XML formats that LibreOffice reads more reliably. While this extra step may not be necessary for most users, it can be useful when dealing with extremely complex enterprise-level project files. Community support also plays a significant role in solving compatibility challenges. LibreOffice has a large global community of developers and users who regularly share solutions, extensions, and troubleshooting advice. If you encounter a persistent compatibility issue, consider searching community forums or reporting the problem through the official LibreOffice bug tracking system maintained by the Document Foundation. Reporting issues helps developers improve future versions of the software. It's also worth noting that compatibility between Office suites is an evolving process. Each new release of LibreOffice improves support for external formats, including project files. By staying updated with the latest version, you benefit from ongoing improvements and bug fixes that enhance interoperability with Microsoft Project and other proprietary software. Testing your workflow regularly is another best practice. After making compatibility adjustments, simulate a real-world scenario by exporting a project from Microsoft Project, importing it into LibreOffice, making edits, and exporting it again. Then reopen the file in Microsoft Project to see how well the changes are preserved. This round-trip testing helps ensure that your workflow remains stable regardless of which application is used to edit the project. Another aspect that can improve compatibility is maintaining clean and consistent task naming conventions. Avoid extremely long task names, excessive special characters, or unusual formatting styles. Simple and consistent naming makes it easier for both applications to interpret project data without confusion. Version control is also important when collaborating across platforms. Always keep backup copies of original project files before converting them between formats. If something goes wrong during conversion, you'll still have access to the original data. Maintaining clear version numbers and file names can also prevent confusion when multiple team members are working with different versions of a project plan. Some cases. Organizations adopt LibreOffice specifically to reduce software licensing costs while still maintaining compatibility with proprietary formats. Achieving smooth interoperability requires a bit of preparation and understanding of how each system handles data. By following the techniques discussed in this guide using XML exports, verifying calendars and dependencies, simplifying custom fields, and maintaining standardized workflows, you can significantly reduce compatibility issues when working with Microsoft Project files in LibreOffice. Ultimately, perfect compatibility between different Office suites is difficult because each application evolves independently with its own internal architecture. However, with the right configuration and careful workflow design, LibreOffice can handle Microsoft Project files remarkably well. Many users successfully manage complex projects using LibreOffice while collaborating with teams that rely on Microsoft Project. As open source software continues to evolve, interoperability will keep improving. Developers actively work to enhance file format support and reduce translation errors between different platforms. By participating in the community, reporting bugs, and staying updated with new releases, users can help shape the future of compatibility across Office productivity tools. So if you've been frustrated by project files not opening correctly in LibreOffice, remember that most issues are solvable with a few simple adjustments. Preparing your files properly, verifying, scheduling data, and maintaining standardized formats can transform your workflow and make LibreOffice a reliable environment for managing project data originally created in Microsoft Project. With these strategies in place, you'll be able to open, edit, and share project files confidently across platforms. LibreOffice 26.2 offers powerful tools and flexibility, and with proper configuration, it can serve as a capable alternative for handling Microsoft Project data. By mastering compatibility techniques, you gain the freedom to work with open source software while still collaborating effectively with teams. Using proprietary tools, and that's exactly the goal, ensuring that your project data remains accurate, accessible, and easy to share, regardless of which software platform is being used.